Welcome to another bonus edition of Upon Further Review.
Upon further review,
And in this edition, we'll be talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Jacksonville Jaguars. This Week 5 matchup will be played on October 5th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can catch that on your local CBS affiliates. So the Steelers are heading into this game at 500 at their record of 2-2, and the Jaguars are yet to win a game at 0-4. The Steelers started off with a win against Cleveland in Pittsburgh as they won on the final play of the game with that field goal as they pulled it out. Roethlisberger had a huge game there in Week 1. He almost had 400 yards. He threw for 365 yards. But then they went on the road to Baltimore and they lost by 20 points to the Ravens. Then they went to Carolina and they won an impressive game as they won that game by 18 points, and both Le'Veon Bell and LeGarrette Blount, they both rushed for over 100 yards in that game, as part of why the Steelers have one of the top rushing attacks in the NFL. But then in Week 4, they lost to the Buccaneers in Pittsburgh by a field goal. It was a touchdown that beat them, but they lost by 3 points. And that game was exciting, very exciting. I was just talking about it a little bit in the Tampa upon further review as they're facing New Orleans. That was what I just did, and now here I'm talking about it a little bit here because Pittsburgh. And I'll tell you, that game was exciting. If you didn't see the highlights, go to NFL.com and check those out, or you can check out our recap video for it. You can also check out whatever sports website you like. I'm sure they've got some highlights for it. Go check those out if you haven't seen them already, because that game was exciting. One of the most exciting games of the season so far. Definitely one of the most exciting games of Week 4. So Pittsburgh, you wonder, what Pittsburgh team is going to show up. I mean, Roethlisberger, he threw for over 300 yards in that loss, but they struggled to run the ball against the Bucs. Of course, now they're going to Jacksonville to face the Jags. And the Jaguars have not won a game yet. Last year they went 0-8 before winning a game, as did the Bucs. Then they both won in Week 9. And now, so the Bucs won last week, as they are 1-3, but Jacksonville, they're still sitting at 0-4, as they're the only team in Florida yet to win a game so far this season. They had 3 road games though in September, and so you can't really fault them too much as they've had a tough schedule. They've only had the 1 game at home. First, they were on the road to Philadelphia and they lost that game. Then they went on the road to Washington and they lost there. Then they had the home game against Indianapolis and they lost to the Colts. And then they went on the road to San Diego and they lost to the Chargers. And in all of their games, they've lost by double digits, as they have not had one close game. Even though I'll tell you, in Week 1, they started off scoring 17 unanswered points, but then they let up 34 unanswered as the Eagles came right back and took the game back. So we'll see what happens. And now, we've got Blake Bortles as Chad Henne went down, and now Blake Bortles is taken over as the starter for Jacksonville. And he's been looking pretty impressive, although he doesn't have a lot of help from he doesn't have a lot of talent around him, but he definitely is talented and he's got a lot of potential, but they cannot run the ball. But let's look at the numbers, and when we look inside the numbers, when it comes to passing offense, the Steelers are number 8 in the NFL in passing yards per game. Jacksonville, on the other hand, is number 24. So the Steelers are good at passing the ball, and when we look at the defense, the Steelers are 17th against the pass. Not so good, middle of the road, but the Jaguars are dead last. They are 32nd in the NFL when it comes to defending the pass. So without a doubt, the clear advantage there goes to the Steelers in the passing game, because they should have no problem passing against the Jags. They should put up big numbers. They should be able to contain the Jaguars' passing attack, at least somewhat. And when we look inside the numbers when it comes to rushing offense, the Steelers are number 5 in the NFL in rushing yards per game. They had been number 1. They struggled last week, but they're still in the top 5. And when it comes to rushing yards for the Jaguars, they are 30th. So as bad as they are when it comes to passing the ball, they're even worse when it comes to running the ball, as their running game is virtually non-existent. And when it comes to the running defense, the Steelers are 15th against the run, and the Jaguars are 25th against the run. The Steelers, they're mediocre against the run. The Jaguars, though, they're pathetic against the run. And then we look at the points scored, and the Steelers are 14th in the NFL in points scored. So they're middle of the road. They're okay when it comes to putting up points. And the Jaguars, though, are 31st. There's only one team that's worse at scoring points than the Jaguars. So they're bottom of the barrel when it comes to putting points on the board. And they're even worse when it comes to allowing points. The Jaguars are 32nd, dead last, in points allowed. Of course, that correlates to the passing defense, in this case anyway. Usually it's more a correlation with rushing defense, but in the Jaguars' case, it correlates exactly with their passing defense. Of course, the Steelers are 20th when it comes to points allowed, so they're not really that good when it comes to stopping people from getting on the board and getting in the end zone and getting them field goals, but they're not that bad. Not as bad as the Jags. So in every statistical category, the edge goes to the Steelers without a doubt. Of course, that's not really much of a surprise. Of course, we know the Steelers are a better team than the Jaguars all around. But is there any way Jacksonville can win this game? I mean, I'm picking the Steelers without a doubt, and I expect the Steelers to put up big numbers. Big Ben should have big numbers. Le'Veon Bell should have big numbers. If they get LeGarrette Blount some touches, he should put up some pretty big numbers as well. Antonio Brown should have big numbers. Heath Miller should have big numbers. It should just be big numbers for everybody. It's like big numbers for you, big numbers for you, big numbers for you. Everybody on the Steelers gets big numbers. But we'll see. You never know. Jacksonville, as bad as they are, no team's that bad. I mean, in the NFL, it's a league filled with parity, and on any given Sunday, any team can win. So it's possible. I mean, we saw the Steelers already. They lost to Tampa last week in that close game, and they almost lost to the Browns in Week 1. So it's very possible that Jacksonville could potentially get their first win of the season. I wouldn't be shocked. But that's going to rely heavily on Blake Bortles. He's got to have an amazing game. He's got to protect the ball. He's got to throw a few touchdowns and keep them in this game for Jacksonville to have a chance of winning. And it really will come down to their defense. At Jacksonville, the only way they win is if their defense can keep the Steelers out of the end zone. If they can hold that, running attack, if they can keep Le'Veon Bell from picking up yards on the ground and coming out of the backfield, because Le'Veon Bell is a threat coming out of the backfield as well. They can contain Bell, they have a chance, and if they can cause some turnovers, Big Ben is prone to throwing interceptions. He doesn't throw too many of them, but if we look at the numbers so far, he has 6 touchdowns versus 2 interceptions. He's been doing a good job protecting the ball, but once in a while he does do an interception. I don't think he will, but that's the only chance Jacksonville has. Like I said, I think the Steelers should win this game, and they should win it in a blowout, as Jacksonville should lose their 5th game in a row by double digits. That's what I think is going to happen. Let me know what you think is going to happen by leaving a comment below and sharing your opinion. Very interested to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and let us know that you enjoyed it by hitting that like button. Otherwise, we won't know. And if you want more of this content, go ahead and subscribe, as we bring you recaps for each and every single game, and we also bring you upon further reviews for each and every single game. That's what you're listening to right now. We do this for each and every single game, each and every single week. We also have our weekly show, The Wedge, where we do quick picks, fantasy fortunes. That's our fantasy football pick segment. We also have a weekly rewind, and we do the upon further review for the Thursday night game on that show, which is usually uploaded on Wednesday, sometimes as early as Tuesday, sometimes as late as Thursday, but always before the Thursday night game, and try not have it up any later than Thursday morning. We also are covering the MLB playoffs all the way through the World Series, and we also do some college football as well. So make sure to check all of that out. Thank you very much for listening. It is greatly appreciated. Hope you are having a great day and have a wonderful weekend, and enjoy all of the exciting sports.